well, let's talk about my very first dirt bike class. Wowzers. When you learn, you know nothing.
All right, everybody, we're headed to class. Got a boogie. Hello.
How are you doing today?
Good. I'm just headed that direction. Is that okay?
It's actually blocked off.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so you're going to have to go back around to the other side, back way to get in if you want to go that way. Because this street and the other end is blocked off.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
With 2 minutes to spare, which was great. At least I arrived on time. But yeah, I had no time to like collect myself and figure out where things were. So I walked into the building, asked where the class was. It was the building behind me, put my gear back on, rode over there, and had an hour of like classwork, paperwork. We talked about everything from tire pressure to looking at our bikes to, we did like T-clocks again, kind of refresh those. And just a lot of discussion on like how things work on dirt versus on street. And it was very educational, and I was shy, so I didn't record any of it. I did take a lot of notes, but I didn't actually record it, which is unfortunate. I should have just asked, but because I was there so late and there was already one other student there, and there were only two of us, which was nice, but there was another student there, and he turns out to be an instructor as well, so I was like the only newbie. So I was the one asking all the dumb questions, unfortunately. But yeah, so we did an hour indoors, which was nice. I got to kind of cool off and feel a little better. And then from there, we went out and we actually looked at our own bikes to see what kind of adjustments could be made. The other guy in the class, he had just purchased the Husqvarna and brought it to class. It was his first real ride on the bike. And he was really impressed with the amount of work that Luke was able to do on it really quickly. They tweaked the bike for a while, and then he came over and he kind of looked at mine. We took a lot of tire pressure out, which we ended up putting back in before I left for class so we could get back on the road safely. But it was interesting to learn about the two different bikes and the different adjustments you could make on those versus my little Honda. And the guy was super impressed with how the bike felt and performed the rest of the day. So that was cool. The Luke, our teacher, really knew what he was talking about.
Check the travel.
See how far I'm going.
And see how far you're going.
Yep.
So on here you got compression up on top, and then you got rebound on the bottom.
Oh, the rebound's on the bottom.
Yep.
Okay.
Because
they both.
Yep. And they're both the same on both sides, because some of them there's air forks.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you got compression on the top and you got compression on the bottom. So now, depending on when you ride, and you want to be using at least 3/4 of your stroke. So at most, right, the most you go is all the way down.
Okay.
That's going to be too soft, almost impossible to go too soft. But if you are only using half your stroke here, you are not traveling, the fork's not traveling all the way down, so you're not going to be like, your front's gonna be pushing, like when you're going through turns. It's not gonna be kind of sticking through the turns. So ideally, you want to be in here.
Yeah, I think I'm way too stiff.
Yep. And most bike stock are too stiff.
Especially the back end is just ridiculous.
And like you can also tell by just like the press of the bike and the, that's not terrible, but yeah, but you're gonna look at the front compared to the rear.
Maybe, and that's the bottom.
And this is compression, and then how fast it's coming back to you is rebound. So it's kind of a little bit like a pogo. It's coming back really fast and it's going down really slow.
Okay.
And overall, in general, I go slow on the rebound. I want as much oil as I can coming through, so when I get on the throttle, it squats and it stays squatting, and then it keeps grabbing traction. But if you like get off the throttle and your rebound's really fast, it snaps back and then you start breaking traction.
And that's what this is. So
Fair.
But now,
yeah, all right.
Definitely softer immediately, right?
Great.
Which it looks like you're sag. Holy shit.
Wing, wing.
Yep, it's pretty springy. But this one doesn't have any adjustment, compression or rebound. But one thing that you can do if you ever do get your fork serviced, getting a higher weight fork oil. So this is probably holds 10 weight fork oil. If you put 20 weight fork oil, it makes the rebound slower.
Interesting.
So the oil is thicker, so, but it's not that bad. The front's actually a lot better than the rear is. As much weight down to the tires that are actually contacting the ground, right? So now when I'm making a left turn, let's say I'm making a left turn here, and I'm just leaning my bike over the kickstand, the only part of the tire that's really contacting the ground is this left third, right? So I want to be trying to put as much weight down to that left third of part of the tire as much as I can, right? And now most motorcycle seats, dirt bike seats, they're going to be flat on top, and then they have this crease on the side. You will never see that on a street bike. And the reason for that is this is designed for our crack. The crack should be on the crack, but on the opposite side of which way we're turning. So if I'm making a left turn, I'm gonna put my butt on the right crack, okay? And then I wanna try to keep my head away from the turn, right? So now, just in the sequence, I'm coming into the turn, I'm getting ready to come into the turn. I want to scoot my lower body over first. I'm trying not to upset the bike while I'm making the turn. So I'm scooting my butt over on the seat in the straightaway, and then I'm kicking my leg out. Kicking my inside leg out, and what this is doing for me, this is weighting the front end more. But I want to make sure that I am not having my leg away from the bike, because if I have my leg away from the bike, I'm adding more weight to the inside of the turn, not adding more weight down to the tires that are contacting the ground. So having my leg high and tight, but I want to make sure that it's not fully straight, but we have a little bit of a micro bend, just a little bit, and thinking about almost as if my front axle is extended all the way out. We want to be between the front axle extended out and our front fender. And the higher the better, really. High and tight. And then on upper body, so this is lower body, crack to the crack, having the leg out, keeping it tight against the bike, squeezing with their legs. And then, now I'm in the correct body position right now. I want to be trying to get my weight to the outside, so I know I'm getting my weight to the outside if my inside arm is more straight, my outside arm is more bent. But now notice, look at my hand. My outside hand is not completely straight. If my outside hand is completely straight on the bars, it makes me go more to the middle of the seat. So when I do, almost think about pointing your outside finger towards your dash. And you're thinking about having your arm in a line with your handlebars. So this right here is ideal body positioning going through a flat turn. I'm pointing that outside elbow up. I'm opening up my hand, almost to imagine that I'm turning a screwdriver instead of turning the throttle now. That's gonna be ideal body positioning. Okay, and try to keep my head somewhere close-ish to my outside hand. So I'm putting more weight once again down to the tires that are contacting the ground. Okay. So that is overall in general. Okay, for the turns, but we're just gonna focus on one thing at a time. But the most important thing of it all. Ooh, what do you guys think is the most important thing of it all?
Look where you want to go.
Look where you want to go.
Duh.
Because our eyes, right, make up 60% of our balance. So anytime that you're riding, the more you look at your front fender, the more you look at your instrumentation, the more you look at your hands, you look at your feet, the more you lose your balance, right? So always trying to look a couple steps ahead and getting comfortable with it, right? Because our natural instinct is to look down. So fighting that urge, trying to keep your head and eyes up and sweeping your eyes through the turn is going to help you maintain your balance when you're going through. Okay, but now what we're going to do is we're just going to be going outside the cones. We're just going to be doing left turns. But I want you guys to focus just on the lower body. So just scooting your butt over, crack to crack, sticking the leg out, okay? And then try to maintain a minimal consistent speed. So I'm assuming probably second gear is going to be the best, and we're going to try to be in the highest gear that we can be in without the bike lugging. That's going to allow you to be smooth. So smooth, consistent speed, turn your head, look where you want to go, sticking the leg out, having that lower body over. Forward. This is what it's going to look like. And most importantly, turning your head. Looking to turn, and we're not using any brakes. Don't even worry about using any of the brakes. Nah, we're just building muscle memory. We're just building good body positioning. Look at it in a second. Let me sweep with my eyes through this turn nice and early. Think about leg out right when it passes the cone. Lower body. Have that leg nice and tight against the bike.
Do okay at that one.
Shut off your bike real quick, put your kickstand down. So you're having the leg out, but you're sitting right in the middle of the seat, so you're not doing yourself any good.
Yeah.
So now I want you to just lean the bike over on the kickstand a little bit. Now put your butt over on the seat, put your feet on the foot pegs. Yep. And now, yep. And the further forward on the seat you can be, the better off you're gonna be.
Okay.
Okay. And now when you're sticking your leg out, yep. And this thing too, try to almost have like, yeah, your chest all the way forward. Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then the more you get over, the more your leg's gonna be dipping down. So think about, right, just keep scooting your butt over. Keep scooting it over, keep scooting it over. And you'll notice that your knee is dipping further and further and further down.
Right.
So that's where you wanna be. And over exaggerated, the more weight you get to the outside, the more weight you're putting down the tires, the easier it is. Okay?
It just feels like, of course, I'd go over.
Yep, try to get the weight as far over as you can. It allows you to lean the bike over a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
So, this.
Yep.
And then look.
Yep. And try to have 4 fingers around the throttle. Since we're not using our brakes at all, it's easier to regulate that consistent speed. Yep.
Okay.
And Jack, one thing that I'm noticing with you,
Yep.
just a little jerky on the throttle. Try to maintain just a consistent speed all the way around the turn. And the further forward you sit, the more you weight the front.
Yeah.
And the more it's just going to want to turn in.
Okay.
Okay? You're good to go.
So
Okay,
just
give her a shot.
don't throttle in between the corners?
Yeah, try to just maintain a consistent speed. Because we're only working on body positioning.
Yep. All right.
Yep. You guys are good to go. And I'm standing at the end.
You're faster.
Turns.
You go.
Try to look at my hand
Yeah. Trying.
in that turn. Keep
And
those
then I accidentally think about the sand and I go, oh. Wow. Ah. Okay.
Are you guys ready to go right?
Probably not.
Right, and then this one, if you're sitting in the middle of the seat, I want you to just put your foot up and try to get your butt way off the seat. Over exaggerating, and then allow yourself to lean the bike over just a little bit.
I'm doing this.
Just like that. Do that turn, maintain that little bit of right here, Jack, right here. Put the foot on. Put the foot on. Put the foot on quickly. Oh, way over. Keep scooting it over exaggerating. Get your butt over there. Get the head away from the turn. Much better, though, much better.
That sand is killing me.
Nice, nice. Much better once you start getting your upper body.
Yeah.
It was like the lower body, the body's like the one to sit kind of in the middle of the seat.
Yep.
The more you can think about the upper body. And now the next one, we're going to focus really just on the upper body.
Okay.
Okay. But now when you're going left, and typically most people have more trouble with right turns than left turns.
That was almost easier, which is weird.
Right. And it was a lot because you were starting to get your weight more to the outside. If you don't, then that's why you want to drift wide.
Oh.
Because the body's like, you can't lean the bike over anymore, you're going to crash, right?
Right.
So then it's like, I'm just going to run wide. But if you start getting your weight to the outside, then you're more okay with leaning the bike over and then you're making that turn, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Like I said, picked up some bad habits already.
Yeah.
I was afraid of that.
And one thing too that I see, try to eliminate this, because you're holding on like this. You're holding on one finger like this, then one like this. And now I call it the monkey.
Okay.
The monkey brain is always trying to protect us. Our primitive brain, right? He's always like, oh, hey, if you have your hand out on the brake, if you need to slow down, you can slow down. However, if you have the oh shit moment, who takes over?
The monkey.
The monkey. And then the monkey's like, ah! And then he wants to yank the brakes.
Yeah.
And almost the worst thing to do is apply the front brake when you're leaned over.
Learned that. Yep.
So try to have 4 fingers around the throttle.
Okay.
Or if you're gonna have one finger, had to have just one finger.
Okay.
Have 3 fingers around the throttle. I'm a 1 finger guy. And I actually use this to help me regulate my throttle. So instead of pulling on the brake, use it as a gauge. So now roll on the throttle a little bit, but now rest your hand on top and now keep the throttle right there.
Oh.
So it's like almost a gauge.
Yeah.
Especially like in motocross when I'm going to really gnarly bumps. If I just have my hand like this, I'm just on and off the throttle, but I use that right there. it's allowing you to maintain a consistent speed on going through the bumps.
Huh.
But it's one thing to think about. Like when you're just riding down the street,
Yeah.
if you catch yourself like kind of hovering over there, just remind yourself 4 fingers around the throttle.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But now we're gonna go back to left. You guys want some drinks? Want a little water?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. It's only getting hotter.
I know. It's supposed to be at 99 this afternoon. Woohoo.